This is the consultant. Welcome back to another episode of the Career Corner, One Nation's Career Corner, with a beautiful lady who's gracing us with the presence today, who does something in the lawyer, advocate, something like that. But I'm going to let her explain herself and tell us what she does in 2020. Okay, cool. Wait, sorry, before I'm giving you wait, can you hear that feedbacking thing? You don't hear it?
It's just you and you're great.
Hello? No, wait, I'm testing. I can hear it. It's feedbacking, so I'm trying to understand what's going on.
For me, it sounds perfect. No feedback.
Nah, me, I'm feedbacking, nah. Okay. Try it again. 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2. 1 2. Okay, you can hear me, right?
I can hear you hundreds.
Okay, cool. I know it's gone now. I don't know. It's the earphones. Okay, yeah. Okay. Let me start again. 1 2 3, go. Boom, 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 Ratata. Welcome back to another episode of One Nation's Career Corner with a beautiful lady who's gracing us with her presence today, who does something in the lawyer's field. But she's going to be telling us what exactly she does and how exactly her journey was from the start to where she is right now. Without wasting time, let me introduce Sis Amanda. Amanda, can you please just introduce yourself to the camera and tell the people what you do for work in 2020?
Thank you so much for having me, Sam. It's lovely to be on your channel. As you've introduced me, my name is Amanda Mkhonza. I am from Empangeni, and because it's lockdown, I currently am in Empangeni, so it's very nice to be at home. And yeah, like you said, I am in the law space. I am a lecturer at the University of Cape Town, and I lecture environmental law specifically.
Okay.
That's where I'm at, what I'm doing right now. But I'm sure as we get into our conversation, you'll learn that it's been a long journey of many different things, all within the law space, but it's been interesting getting to where I am now.
Okay, incredible. So let's just dive into it. Mpangeni, I don't know, there's Mpangeni High there and Norton Rose. Those are the only two schools that I know on that side. So let's just go back to your matric before you get into law and everything. Where did you get your matric from? Where did you graduate your matric?
So I went to Empangeni High School, one of the famous ones in Empangeni, and that's where I matriculated. That was back in 2006. I am now almost 32 years old. I'm quite excited.
Wow.
My birthday is next month. And so I've been out of school for a while now. But yes, I was at Empangeni High, and like many of the students there, I was busying myself with not only the academic part, but also with a lot of extramural activities and sports. And so I grew up quite a busy child. I didn't give myself an opportunity to breathe in between. I really enjoyed just participating in various activities and making the most of my experience at school and not making it just really about academics. So I had a really great time in high school. Obviously, there was always this healthy competition between us as students to see, who can outperform who. And I don't know if they still have it now, but we had this quarterly list of top achievers. And if you're in the top 10 of your grade, it was obviously something that was, really celebrated. When I got to high school, that's all I wanted, to just be in that list. It took me a couple of years, but I eventually made it in my senior years. And so, by the time I finished with my matric, I did manage to get a few awards, particularly around maths. And so I had a really good run. I loved my time at MIT.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So when you're one of those, I'm going to school and I'm enjoying, I can't wait to be at school tomorrow. Let me just take this thing off.
One of those.
Okay, can you hear?
I can still hear you. I was one of those. I had good friends that I wanted to see every day at school. I had good relationships with my teachers. I did interesting subjects as well. When we had to choose standard 8, like what you want to do until you're in matric, I chose things like music, not just one music course, but two. So I didn't do accounting. I thought that was for very smart people. But I still did science, biology, maths, English, Afrikaans. But yeah, I tried to keep it interesting for myself. So I really, really loved school. I did everything that was on offer. And I still follow that same principle. Take as many opportunities as you can. But you never know how much you're going to learn and grow from a particular experience until you try it. And until you're on the journey, then you find you become such a better version of yourself if only you take that opportunity in the first place. So I am a go-getter indeed.
Okay, cool. That's just very incredible. I love the fact that you just touched on your subjects, but I want us to dive in more now, because there's this misconception that you can only be a lawyer if you studied history. If you don't study history, forget about being a lawyer. Yes, I know so many people who are in the law space, like we never did history. We did other things, but I'm a lawyer. I go to courts every day, or I do this, or I do that within the law space. So, which subjects exactly did you do? You said you did music. I know they're very good for their music program, but what are other subjects that you do that are very academic besides those extramural things that you guys were doing that are offered in the school?
So it is a big myth that you need to take history in order to do law. The only thing that's required of you is a certain average in your marks altogether, so that you can be you can qualify to go to the university of your choosing. But then you also, usually they'll look at your English marks too. So English is more the important one, not so much your other subjects. So Mina, I did English Afrikaans because those were the ones that were required of us to do. But I also did science, biology, and what else did I do? Science, biology. Did we still have to do life orientation? I can't even remember. But then I had music, and then I had a second music course, which was around just learning how to play a second instrument. So for the first music course, I was doing piano, and the second one I did clarinet. So that's what I did. I really just enjoyed myself. I didn't feel restricted to anything specific. If I had to do history to become a lawyer, I would have never have become a lawyer in the first place, because I am bad with history. But history is definitely not a requirement. No, not to be a lawyer. No, perhaps to be a historian or something, but not as a lawyer.
Okay, I hope all the young people who are watching this can really hear that, because I wanna just wrap that misconception off the face of history, because most people are like, no, for you to be a lawyer, you need to do history, only to find that the child actually can be a lawyer. They just maybe did accounting in school, or they did biology, but they have a parent. And then the parents will be like, no, we're restricting you. You're not going to study law because you did these subjects, and then now it limits the child, and you end up being depressed and all of those things. So we're trying to really scrape those misconceptions by talking to professionals who've been in the field like you. So whoever wants to do law, since Amanda just helped you, go argue the case with your parents. I'll just show them this video. I'm like, lawyer, the lecturer of law in UCT, how can you do that? Anyway, so before, and everything, before we get to what made you decide, okay, I want to study law, this is a career I want to pursue, because you did music mostly and all this other, biology you did, you could have become, or maybe become like a musician, sit morning with your celebration, enjoy. But now you became a lawyer. What made you say, okay, I want to become a lawyer, and this is the thing I want to do for the rest of my life? I want to be in law.
So that's always such a funny question for me, because I wanted to be what most young girls want to be, and that's a nurse. So especially when I was still growing up. So I thought I want to be a nurse. My mom was a teacher, so I didn't think to do what she was doing, but I thought I want to be a nurse, I want to help people, and that was sort of my idea. But this is when I was in primary school. And then
froze. Okay, let's wait.
I am not going to be a nurse.
You froze.
Did I? Okay.
When you literally were starting the story, that's when it froze. So take it there.
Okay.
Yeah, take it there.
So when I was a small girl, I always wanted to be like what many other small girls wanted to be, and that is to be a nurse. I wanted to help people. I wanted to heal people, like those kinds of, things that you think of when you're small. Although my mom was a teacher, I didn't think to become like her. My dad was in real estate, but I just thought I want to help people in this way, so I wanted to become a nurse. And then one time, on no other show, I can't remember what it was, but it was a family show. And on that particular episode, so when I learned for the first time where babies really come from, I decided there's absolutely no ways that I'm going to become a nurse. Instead, I decided I can help people in other ways. I wasn't sure what it was going to be, but as I was growing, particularly in my late primary school years, I realized that at home and in my family generally, I'm a very not only talkative person, but also one who is very willing to argue on behalf of somebody else who can't speak up for themselves. And no problem arguing with anyone, including my parents. So I then decided, actually, I think I'm going to become a lawyer. That is how I'm going to help people. I'm going to speak on their behalves, particularly those who cannot speak for themselves. And that is how I want to give back and, to society and stuff. So that's how I decided I want to be a lawyer.
Okay,
and so by the time I was in high school, I was already very comfortable with what I wanted to become. So that's why I didn't feel the pressure when I got to Standard 8 to go to, now I must do accounting and this and that, because I already knew it wasn't going to be necessary. I just had to do the subjects that I was doing, enjoy them, do my best in them, get the marks that are needed, and then go to varsity.
Oh, that's incredible. So basically, when you came in high school knowing that this is the thing I want to do, so that's actually very, very smart. And you're the first person I'm actually interviewing who is saying, I already came knowing, because sometimes we get things as kids. You get like a thing, the kids are pushing you, do this thing. And then as you grow older, because of money and things that happen, you sort of let that dream go and that voice die inside of you.
Yeah.
And I want to show kids that and that voice that you keep hearing in your head. You're not crazy. You're not here. Like Steve Harvey once said to us, we were attending this workshop, he was like, it's impossible for a person to dream an impossible dream. Meaning whatever you're seeing in your head, for the fact that you're seeing it, God has put the thing inside of you for you to keep seeing it. It's like me with doing this. Yeah, well, even with me with doing these videos, I was struggling for so long. Then because I kept on thinking, how can I do it? I eventually came with a plan. Right now, we are sitting on 30 plus episodes. We are going to be episode 30 something.
Amazing.
Yeah, but, and it's just like, and it's just a start of what we're doing. So, like, I'm glad that you are one of those people that never stop listening to yourself, your younger self, saying, I want to be a lawyer. I know I'm going to be good at this thing, Angelo, because woke up, say Cape Town, from all the way from Mpangeni. Just think about that. I want it to soak in all the way from Mpangeni to Cape Town. Like, means any kid of Mpangeni, Richards Bay, Skawini, in that area as well.
Anyway,
it's possible. Do it. It's very much possible to break. Okay, cool. So now let's get into it again. Now, so you've gotten the marks you wanted. Now you are on your way to a varsity. Where did you study? When you were studying your law qualification, where did you go?
I went to a place that many people do not go to. I went to the University of the Free State. And
what?
Everybody wants. Right?
I mean, like, there's literally across the road from you. There's literally across the road from you. Okay, let's talk about it. Explain yourself.
So, in high school, when I think I was in grade 11, the university came to us to do a presentation about the various courses that they offer, and they were the only university that came to us. Obviously, we're not going to have like University of Cape Town coming to us because they're very far now, but they are very strategic about who they go to. So we had the University of Free State come to us that particular year. They did a presentation, and then they emphasized that there are two courses that they were well known for is medicine and law. And so I was obviously interested in law, so I thought, why not? Mama was always the kind of person who said to me, when you go to varsity, just try and go as far as possible. If you could go overseas, it would be great, but we obviously don't have that money. But try and go as far as possible, because it would be for you to get to experience other places and see how life is like, and to just grow up and become, yourself fully. So try and explore other parts of South Africa. So yeah, when Free State came around, I came home, Ngabachela, had the form. I filled in that form. It was the only application I ever made in my life. Baba, on the other hand, wanted me to be an engineer and wanted me to go to Stellenbosch. And Mama was like, there is no way she's going to Stellenbosch, only because at the time there was a big issue with regards to the language policy, and they were teaching only in Afrikaans.
Okay.
So Mama was like, let's not get ourselves stressed out about that. She can go to any other place where it's English and Afrikaans mediums. If she wants to go and try out Free State, she's never been, agahambe. And so I did that. I applied, got accepted. Law was my first option. I got my first option and off I went. I didn't know anyone and I didn't know the place. I just went with my mom and all my stuff, and it was the best decision I could have ever made. Free State University, when it comes to the law faculty, is not one of the best in South Africa or Africa or anything like that. I particularly chose Free State as well because the fees were very small compared to other universities. So even though in my mind I would have loved to go to a University of Cape Town, ama-fees akhona aqaqile, and I am the third child out of 4. And so it's not like, I come from a home where I can just choose to do whatever I want and my parents will just pay for everything. So I was considerate of that as well. And I thought, well, if Free State is very affordable and they're good with law, I'm going to go and participate there. And Mkhonza, what I realized with the Free State is that it's a university that everyone thinks is so easy to get into, which is true to some degree. Other people might be Free State and done. So and whatever, which is fine. It really is accessible for the general public because fees are quite low. But what I learned whilst I was doing my course is that getting in is very easy. Getting out is almost impossible. It takes a lot to complete a degree at the University of the Free State in record time. The standard of the education is very high. The bar at Free State is very high. And so when you graduated at Free State, we always used to say the same slogan that we have at university. So every university has like a nickname. At Tinage Free State, we are Amakofsis. And the slogan of the Kofsis brand is that only a Kofsi knows the feeling. So when you graduate, it's like, yo, guys, it's almost impossible to get out. So I really appreciated the quality of the education there. And I realized, when I got into practice, that other students who come in with very big names behind them, like Wits University, University of Cape Town, Stellenbosch, and all these big names, it's only a facade. It's just a name. It's like wearing expensive clothing. It's just clothing. We still have to deal with you as the person. And then when you measured up against these other students, you'd be shocked at how much better you perform in practice and how much better you are received also by seniors in law firms and things like that, because there's a very different edge that Ingane from more or less privileged varsities have. That sometimes some students from more privileged varsities don't have, because that privilege, sometimes you think, the world owes you. And when you come from a less privileged varsity, you work hard, and then the world responds. So that thing that privileged students sometimes miss, and then opportunities go right under their nose. They wonder why. So I had the time of my life at Free State. I made all the friends in the world who are still my friends. Their families became my family. I learned how to speak Sesotho fluently. I had the best time, the absolute best time. To a point where, at some points in time in my career, I went back there and lectured there as well. So that's how much university. Yes.
Wow. So right now we're in 2020. When did you graduate from the University of Free State? Which year?
So in 2010, I was doing my final year. So law degree is 4 years. There is a 5-year program if you want to do an extended course. For those who don't have the marks that are required to go into the 4-year, they can do an extended 5-year. So I did the 4-year course, and then it was in final year, 2010, and then I graduated early 2011. But in 2011, I was then doing my master's in law, and I did my master's. That's when you get to specialize in law. It's only when you're doing your master's. So yeah, I did my master's to my dad's joy at the Witwatersrand University. He always thought that was a really excellent second choice after Stellenbosch, and he always wanted me to go there as well. But I ended up in Wits. But I want to talk a little bit about how I made the transition from Free State to Wits. And it goes back to just the principle of working hard and doing your absolute best all the time when nobody's watching. Because it's when you're doing your hard work and your grind that when an opportunity is ready for you down the line, you should be ready to then receive it. So for me, going to do my master's was a dream, but nothing else. My parents will not be able to afford it, so I'm going to work first, save money, and then go back later to do my master's. So there was no confusion about that. But then in my second year at varsity, I got a call from the university saying, there is a law firm that I did not even know about that would like to meet up with you. They're going to come to the university. They're doing a career day, but they want to see you. They want to speak to you. I had no idea who these people were. I didn't even do the smart thing and Google. Like kids nowadays are way ahead of us. I was just like, oh, okay. And then I was told of the dates and I was told to come. I almost didn't even get dressed. My friends, thank God, told me at least look a little bit decent. Did that. I went, only to find what I thought was just a very simple chat. It felt like what we're doing right now. They were asking me about Empangeni High, growing up, my family. They were asking me all these very general questions, only to find later on that was an interview and they were wanting me to go and do vacation work for them. So at the beginning of my third year, in January, I went there, first time going to Sandton in Johannesburg, walking on those paved streets, Zakona, super fancy, working for this law firm in my vacation time. So January of my third year before Mwele Free State, I did 2 weeks with them, only to learn later on that Loyal 2 weeks is also another interview in itself for an opportunity to then do my articles when I'm done with my schooling. So these opportunities came. It's only when I got to their offices did I start learning. This is actually a very big law firm. This is some serious stuff going on here, But had I not been that person who was very keen on working my hardest and doing my best, my name wouldn't have been called out. I wouldn't have been recognized as a person who's even worthy of that opportunity. So for me, my journey was really awesome in that way. But it was that very same firm who then said, not only do we want to offer you AMA articles when you're done with your studies, but we want to offer you a scholarship for you to do your master's at Wits. So they are very closely tied to Wits, and that's how I then.
Okay, are you moving?
Yep.
Okay, you were saying that's how?
So that's how I then got an opportunity to go do my master's. It was through that scholarship. The same firm that called me to do vacation work with them and then eventually offered me an opportunity to do articles of clerkship Nabo, were the same firm who said, but because you're still a little bit young, spend another year at university. Here's a scholarship. Go and do your master's at Wits. Free education. Wow. To do the thing that I've always dreamt of and the thing that I knew my parents wouldn't be able to afford. So that's how I made my transition from Free State University to Wits, and I got to live a little bit like a bit of a little privileged child in that sense. But I was very humbled by the process.
That is so awesome that you're saying that, because we often hear about these stories, Gucci. ingane yakamakhelwane or whoever got free scholarship, they got a bursary, they got this. We never get to see those people and actually put a face behind the name or behind the career or behind whatever gesture that they got. And I'm actually glad I'm actually talking to you now, because only a few people and then they take it and then they run with it. Because you're very young, you're 32, but you're a lecturer. Thing in Kanjale UCT, which is that's a big thing. That's a very. I'm not taking the thing lightly, Kanjale. Okay, cool. So, did you work as a lawyer, or you just said after a master's, I'm just gonna go and become a lecturer?
A part of me wishes I didn't work as a lawyer, but I did. No, so I did my articles of clerkship, because that was obviously the agreement that I had with the firm. So I went back to the same firm after my master's. I worked with them for 2 years. The lovely thing about them is that they are in Sandton, Durban, and Cape Town. So the last 6 months of my articles, I came to the Durban office. That was amazing. But for me, going full-time into the practicing route of being an attorney was not my ultimate dream and goal. We all start off thinking, we want to be like the lady on Suits. But when you get into it and you learn that, there are certain personalities for different jobs. Different job requirements require different kinds of people and different kinds of commitment, etc. I wasn't that kind of person who wanted to work Monday to Monday doing that specific kind of corporate law work. By the time with my articles, it was no longer just like a big national firm, but it was an international firm at that time, because it had joined with other firms. So I decided that's not for me. And that is when I finally then made my transition from practice after qualifying as an attorney to then going into academia. And so I went back to University of the Free State, and that's where I had my first teaching gig, lecturing at the Free State.
Which year was this?
So I finished my master's 2011. I did 2 years of articles in 2012 and 2013. I finished early 2014, around the end of Jan-Feb. And then I started teaching middle of 2014 at Free State.
Oh, okay, cool. So basically, you just did your articles, and then after articles, you're like, actually, peace out.
Going to do me. And the nice thing about my journey is that in doing my articles, and it's something that I always suggest to young people who ask, particularly who I teach, they ask, but should we do articles? Shouldn't we try and do other things? And I tell them, doing your articles is great, even if you don't want to be an attorney. So just qualifying as an attorney is amazing for you, because it opens other opportunities for you. But for me, what was lovely is that I already had my master's in the back of my pocket. So I could then finish my articles and jump straight into academia, because you need the master's to do the academic stuff. So that's how I made the transition then quite quickly. Otherwise, you then have to still study your master's whilst you are trying to apply for a lecturing position, and you'd probably not be able to start off as a lecturer. If you do get an opportunity whilst you're studying your master's, you'll probably come in as a junior lecturer, but it's still a step in the right direction. That is what you want to do. So again, there are many avenues and many different ways of achieving the same thing, but this was my journey.
Okay, so if a person wants to be a lecturer now, so now I know, because you're the second person I've interviewed who's a lecturer. One, the lady was doing Umama Miene, Kolema used to, she was doing.
Oh, I know her from high school. We used to play netball together. She's my friend. Yeah, she's awesome.
Hey,
she's awesome.
I'm interviewing these people now. She did the social worker, then she started off as a junior lecturer, as exactly what you're saying. She started off as a Tongo University, and now she's a full-time lecturer, which is very, very great. And the story is showing, because not all of us want to. There's people who are studying accounting only to find the beauty. Actually, practicing it is not the thing that I want. I want to teach it. I am more comfortable. That what's stopping me from saying, okay, I shouldn't just become a lecturer of accounting in any of these universities. I'm qualified. I have a master's, whatever the case. With a master's. And then you just go and work. Because if you do something that makes you happy, that puts money on the table, that's what we want. So you have like a longevity of life. Or stress, stress is not enjoyable. I'm understand? Stress this thing done. I need to figure out a way of getting it done. Not to say the work I'm doing is really, really stressing me. And then you end up having all high blood pressure and all these things, and then you die young. Went into a career that's for you. Do you know what I mean?
100%. I couldn't agree with you more. You need to do whatever it is that you love. And sometimes, yes, it's not necessarily a job. It's something that you're going to have to start on your own. But at least whilst you're starting that thing on your own, do something that you enjoy enough to wake up in the morning every day and feel ready to go and do it again. Just do something that you enjoy decently enough, then you can start preparing your own thing on the side as well. But it's really utterly important to do something that you really enjoy. All work, no matter what you do, even the thing that you do, it will still be challenging, but you're going to be learning and growing. You're going to be doing things you never imagined. It's still going to require a lot from you. It's going to put demands on you. But at least when you enjoy it, you go to bed feeling like, wow, that's cool, and this is really awesome.
Okay. I was going to ask you about some of the challenges you face studying for the journey that you've embarked on, but the way you answered with the challenges being answered. Like, for instance, one challenge, the first challenge that you had to face, you had to relocate all the way to a different province and learn language of the Sotho and adapt to the environment. After you were done with the environment, you were busy just wandering around as a student. They were like, yo, listen, there's people who want to see you, and you're going for a job interview, and you had to switch again from that place. First of all, you had to sacrifice your holidays. As now I'm a student, I'm a holiday. There's nothing more the students love than holidays. Some students love it. It's like, yo, can't wait. I can't wait. I remember when I was in varsity, on the day, we'll be writing a test on 9 in the morning, finishing at 11. The people that are staying in the dormitories on campus, they've already packed. As soon as I finish it,
I'm out.
Yes, some would even come with the bags. They're writing a test, and they're going to go back to their room. They already have, like, if it's 10 days, there's a small bag back there. So I know how much students love their vacation, love going home and whatnot. But now you took it upon you and say, you know what? Instead of I'm doing it that year, let me go and do these articles for January and do and then actually go. I want to say be chaperoned by this law firm instead of me just sitting at home and give the mango and not doing anything else. So you do, and then that's a sacrifice. That's one of the challenges that you face as you are growing, because obviously the challenges that you're going to face once you're embarking on a career are not going to be the challenges you are facing while you're at school. Hopefully this video is finding you. You're still at school, you're watching it. Maybe you're doing like even as early as grade 7. Before you choose your subjects, you're watching, you see there's other challenges. The ones that you think are a challenge right now, you can't think X is equal to Y, whatever. That's nothing compared to what's
not a challenge. Yeah.
So we're trying to prepare you, so you know there's other things that are out there that are gonna really make you a person that you wanna be, the lady that you wanna be, the man that you wanna be at the end of the day. And then you need to understand what you need to pick and choose your words. You need to sacrifice the times. If in December it forces you to work at some place, or maybe that's time you do that. You go out. Don't just sit and say holidays are here for me to get drunk and do all these things. No, do something progressive during the holidays. That's what we want to see you do. Do something progressive. Yeah, something when you go back to school and then you tell your people, oh guys, by the way, during the holidays, these are the things I did. Things that you can even put on a CV once you're looking for a work. Because at times employers, you've got your qualification. Okay, what is it? What else did you did? Nothing. You just went energy. The only thing you were doing in university, you were doing in qualification, and that's it. You weren't involved in societies, you weren't involved in extramural activities, even in high school, back in high school, they look at all those things because they understand these things are supposed to be there to build your character as a human being. Not as a graduate, not as an academic, just as a human being. There's things that are gonna keep on sharpening all the knives in your tool drawer, which is your mind. Okay, cool. So now I'm diverting now.
can you speak more about those challenges? Because what you are raising is something that I also wanted to speak about. The one of relocating. For me, being a person who, one, values time, but also two, values the people who are in my circle, my family and my friends. Relocating is not as easy and as glamorous as it looks. And I have done a lot of relocating, which means I have had to start over a lot of times. So from high school to varsity at Free State, from that varsity to another varsity at Goli, and then working at Goli for a year and a half thereafter, then going to Durban, working there, having to start a new sort of circle of friends, finishing there, going back to Free State to teach. One of my old people around, reconnected with them, but still had to grow my circle there as well. And then from Free State to Cape Town, starting from scratch again, never having lived in Cape Town, don't know anybody there. And so the thing about relocating, particularly when you are a person who's anything like me, who values time, but also time with your loved ones, it really does take an emotional toll on you. Yeah, but you are out in the world doing the things that you know you love, and the things that you know in the future are going to be so worthwhile. But at the same time, you're sacrificing this part of your life. You know, your heart space it does in certain moments start feeling empty. And so you need to learn as you grow to develop other sort of tactics and skills in order to survive those things, because some people then end up with, you know, mental breakdowns and mental illnesses because abajwayelanga ukuba away from the people that they love. So that becomes a huge problem amongst us, particularly the younger people that are starting off our careers. Our careers end up being stalled by all of these mental issues that we then go through. So learning to adapt to that situation is a very key thing that I had to learn right out of the gate in Sahara. Never said, as much as my family is in Empangeni, I have to learn to create my new family everywhere I go, so that I will feel that sense of community and belonging. If it means learning another language, do so. Especially Zulu people. Zulu people are the worst when it comes to adapting to other languages. I know us. So it doesn't help going to a new place and wanting to get all of these experiences, but you don't want to learn different cultures, then learn to assimilate and learn to get along with different kinds of people. So the sooner you learn to create your own families in different places that you go, the better it'll be for you and your adaptation, and the better it'll make your experience and your enjoyment of that place. So that was a very big challenge for me, but I turned it into something positive by doing something great about it, like learning a new language, etc. And then the second challenge for me was in this journey, in my last relocation from Free State to Cape Town. The challenge there for me was not about taking another opportunity, because that was great. As always, I always try to seize the opportunities that come before me. But the challenge for me was with regards to a salary pay cut. Now, a lot of people think progress always equals more money. And that is another fallacy that we need to really remove out of people's minds, particularly young people. There's this saying, and I don't know where I heard it from, but I remembered it and I apply it to my life. That saying, it's your 20s are for learning. Your 30s are for yearning, so like longing for things. And then your 40s are for earning. So that is when you've arrived. So when I learned that, we live in an age where we are under the social pressure, this extreme social pressure to have made every aspect of our lives by the time we are 30. And nothing can be more further away from the truth than that pressure. You're not supposed to be married with 3.5 children, living in a picketed fence kind of house with 2.5 dogs, driving 3 fancy luxurious cars, and with a PhD and sitting in top management at work by 30. That is a lifelong kind of journey that you go on, and along this journey you start picking up all these little things as you go along. But for some other reason, we are fooled into thinking, or brainwashed into thinking, we need to have achieved all of these things by the time we turn 30. so not only impossible, but nonsensical. And the sooner we get off that gravy train and we start sticking to our own lanes and we charter our own paths and we live our own lives to the best of our ability, the sooner we will all be happy and the sooner we will start progressing the things that we're actually doing. So for me, when I then had to make that switch from teaching at Free State University, earning a very decent salary, living in a very cheap city, and being able to live quite comfortably, I then had to take a salary cut from Leo Mali and then still go and live in the most expensive city and start afresh, which is also very expensive, and leave my permanent job with the university to take on a 2-year contract with an NGO. That decision-making process for me was very hard. But I knew that the reason why I agreed to that interview, it also was another interview that I had not asked for. I didn't even know about it. It was also one of those stories where they just come to me and they say, we think you are the person. And so it took me a bit of time to process what it means for me to let go of benefits, good money, cheap city, affordable lifestyle, and then go into zero benefits, 2-year contract, no sense of security, expensive life that I can't afford on this less salary. That decision-making process took me a good amount of time, but I knew that the opportunity was great. That much I knew. Because now I was going to leave the University of the Free State, where I was teaching subjects that were outside of my interest. It wasn't environmental law. And they weren't there was no plan for the university to get me to where I wanted to go. But now I was going into an NGO, which is an environmental law firm, I will finally get the legal practical experience of being an environmental lawyer. Something that the corporate law firm did not offer me whilst I was doing my articles as well. But they just don't use specialization. So finally, I had an opportunity to do something that I actually wanted to do, even though it came with a lot of sacrifice. But I took it. And I took it and I never looked back. I never longed to go back to Free State. I never longed, to go back to that comfort zone. I went into the deep and I faced every challenge as it came. The difficulty, the frustration, the lack of security, the responsibilities back at home. Because in my family, I always have been and still am the breadwinner. So that comes with a lot of responsibility on me. But now having a less salary is frustrating. And so I had to face those challenges as they came, but I always knew in the back of my head, temporary, it's very time consuming. In 2 years, you're going to be out. Take this as an opportunity to learn what you need to learn so that when the next opportunity comes, you're ready to level up.
Wow, you just summed everything up I wanted to ask you. So I'm just quiet because I'm listening. I'm like, she's answering each and every question I was planning on asking her, and it's so great. I wanted the fact that you are living proof of what sacrifice takes you and how far you can go if you choose to. Not sacrifice yourself now. No. For the things that are supposed to build you as a human being.
Yeah.
Not sacrificing yourself. So just before we end up, so how are you finding?
You have to sacrifice the comfort zone. You have to sacrifice that sense of, I just want to stay in the same space all the time. That comfort zone is where you need to get out of. That's the only thing you sacrifice. You never sacrifice yourself. You never sacrifice your values. You never sacrifice your principles. You never sacrifice the gist of who you are.
Yeah, that's good. That's great. I wanted to ask you, then how are you finding now the job that you're doing like right now? I'm sure you have plans. You seem like a person who, as much as things are just, because the person who watches it could be like, this person seems like she's one of those lucky people where things just fall in her lap. No. They fall in your lap because you are already on the journey, preparing, like what you said. You are already preparing yourself. When these certain things come, I must be ready. Nobody found you a clapping, dancing and drinking. On Monday, somebody wants to see you, your boss. No, it didn't happen like that. You were already working.
They found
Exactly.
me grinding. They found me preparing. But preparation is everything, and that saying cannot be more true. Preparation is everything. Yes, I always advise younger people today, because life is now different. The times you live in are quite different from when I was growing up. You must keep your nose in your books, keep your eyes on the ground, and do your work. Really focus on your grind, but also keep your ears open. So watch out for what's happening, for my opportunities, but focus la also corner at that particular time. So for me, it was still like I kept my eyes, my nose and my ears. I kept everything on the ground. So it really is a different time now that young people are living in. And I would advise for them to just keep their ears at least open whilst they're keeping their focus. But nothing ever falls into anybody's lap. You can only receive all the things that come your way because you're ready for them. Because the thing is, they wouldn't have said, you look like the person we need, if you didn't have anything to show them that you are the person that they need. So exactly. if you're a lazy person who doesn't care for their work, who doesn't care for their studies, who doesn't care to participate that will develop them, who doesn't care for self-development, who doesn't care for anything, you wouldn't have the package, you wouldn't look attractive to them. So they wouldn't call you in the first place. So it's not like this, luck just fell on my, something fell on my head and then, next thing I knew. It really is a principle of always sticking to your grind and working as hard as you can, because when you think, I'm just minding my own business, I'm doing whatever I can, but people always see what you're doing. It's shocking what people see about you, that you might not be revealing to people. So how I'm finding this job now, it's an absolute dream. This is the funny thing. I never ever thought I would lecture at UCT. The only dream I once had, once long ago, Nakhona, it was a very short dream, maybe like 5 seconds. I thought, it would be great one day if I could study there. That's about as far as I ever thought about UCT. But I never thought of working there. I never dreamt, one day I want to be an academic, I want to be an environmental law, and I want to be studying. No, I never dreamt of it. So it is an absolute dream now that I'm in it, because now I realize just how amazing it is to be part of that specific team that I am in. I absolutely loved my work. Whilst I was doing the environmental lawyer job, I was working particularly as a water lawyer. I absolutely loved being in practice doing environmental law stuff. But similar to the experience that I had whilst I was in the corporate firm, I realized I don't want to do this forever. And besides, I was there for a short period of time. I ended my 2-year contract earlier than what was even expected. I didn't even finish the 2 years. I was there, I think, a year and 4 months or something. And by then, I already signed with the University of Cape Town to then go back and join them in the Institute for Marine and Environmental Law as an academic. So I left that job. I left the NGO job 4 months before starting my UCT job because I felt I deserved a break, and I enjoyed that 4 months. I had all my financial plans in place, and I had a very peaceful, happy 4 months. I spent time at home, something that I didn't have the opportunity to do a lot since I was 18. And I still, I have no regrets with regards to that. And I was ready. I had fresh energy, and I was ready to take on the new task, and I have loved it ever since. I've been with UCT now since the beginning of 2018, so I'm about to finish my 2 years, which means I'm about to finish my probation period. Can you believe?
Wow.
The probation period is that long? But it makes sense because UCT is really on a class of its own. I am extremely humbled to be part of the UCT brand. I am completely head over heels in love with the institute that I work for, the law faculty. I love the department of public law that I'm in. I have awesome colleagues. We have our own office politics, but it really doesn't even bother me one little bit because I am just living my life. I'm enjoying it. I'm still also on a journey of development. I still have a lot of things I need to do. You can't be a UCT academic without a PhD. So that is on the cards. That needs to happen. Obviously, COVID just like threw everybody's plans out of the door, but nonetheless, it's still going to happen soon enough. I hope to be registered for my PhD, and then we can speak sort of 3-4 years from now, and it'll be a different thing. But life at UCT has been amazing. I love academia. That I knew from the time I left practice in Durban. I knew that I've always loved academia. I want to be in academia for a longer period of time. So I'm happy to be in academia, but I love environmental law specifically. And that those two elements combined in one has given me like the job of my life. But I'm not there to retire there.
Other places.
I'm not about that life. I absolutely love my job. But with every opportunity, I see it as an opportunity, I use it as a stepping stone. It's an opportunity to go into the next level. I would love to be officially retired from working for like companies and institutions, organizations, etc. when I'm in my early 40s. I want to be my own person, do my own thing, under my own name. How that will look like, I'm still on a journey of yearning. Now that I'm in my 30s, my ideas are becoming more and more crisp from the years that I've spent learning. I'm now yearning for certain things. And then in my 40s, I'm sure I'm going to be creaming it and earning. So I am just doing what I need to do. I'm teaching on the master's course. I teach natural resources law, I teach pollution law, and I teach international environmental law. I have one undergrad module on environmental law, just a basic introductory module. So that's what's keeping me busy. And yeah, interestingly enough, abantu think academics are just, abantu that go to work twice a week to teach for an hour at a time, and that's that. Far from the truth. We do a lot of different things, and that is what I love about the academia. It has allowed me to penetrate different spaces, all in the name of being an academic. So I love the fact that I teach, because teaching is just one of those platforms where I get to inspire young people, help them see that they can achieve their goals just as we are doing now. I love the fact that I get to research, because it keeps me in the forefront of what's happening within my field. I love the fact that I get to go to conferences, travel the world, and hear what other people in the field are doing in their specializations by environmental law. So I get to learn from them as well. I love the fact that we have to publish, which means when I have an idea, I've researched it, I write it down, send it off to a journal, and then I can get feedback from other people who are senior to me, younger than me, whatever the case may be. Publishing puts my ideas out there, and if anybody has a response to that, or if anybody wants to correct me and teach me how to do it better, they can do that. So it's just another opportunity of growth. And I love the fact that we are big on social responsiveness. So that means, as an academic, it's very important that umsebenzi wakho that you are focusing on in terms of your research, your publications, it must also make an impact in society. So my interest in environmental law, you might have heard me speak about being a water lawyer in the NGO. I love water law. When I was a water lawyer in that NGO, that is where I developed my niche. So I knew within environmental law is a big field. I want to focus on water law as a specialization within it. But my work at the NGO focused specifically on certain mountain catchments that are important for supplying South Africa with 50% of its waters. So mine is to try and develop ideas around how we can protect those areas, because they're currently not protected. That is where I then developed a very particular interest, and it's that particular interest that I research on, I publish on, but also I engage the society on, the community on, and the rest of South Africa on. So you'll still be seeing videos of me on Facebook and things like that, doing interviews where I try to raise awareness on these areas. I still do. I still am part of task teams with other NGOs and governmental departments and scientists, etc., where we're working consistently on trying to get the government to do something to protect these areas legally. And so that is my social responsiveness. What I'm doing eskoleni is equating to real life in the real world. And that for me then gives me, this full scope of making a change, in every different area of my work. It's not just, reading books and becoming smarter. It's about giving back at different levels. And so that is what I really enjoy about being an academic.
Wow, that's incredible. That's really incredible. Whoa, we went over time. But I'm just like, let me just soak everything in, because it's very, very important. And you're summing up a lot of things that you're normally talking about in the channel there. So a person who wants to be a lecturer, one, a person who wants to be in the law space too, or a lawyer, or whatever that you want to do, because it doesn't mean because you want to say, these videos, I want them to be also a motivational thing, because I find myself watching videos of people I don't know, I don't like on YouTube, like interviews, because they're incredible people, the stories that they tell, they're amazing. And then you feel like these stories, if more people had such stories, they'll be inspired to do greater things. You know what I mean? So like that's really, when your life story is very, very inspiring. Now I'm like, yo, hey, this person is working like this, and I'm like, hey, giving up is on the, I have to go try and get a sponsor. It's good, but now I can't give up now. I have to go. I have to keep going over to go. I mean, so
I say push.
Yeah, thank you so much for isikhathi sakho. Thank you for everything you've done. Just for us today, isikhathi sakho. Thank you so much. Hopefully we'll talk in a few years' time. And as we are talking, calling you Dr. Amanda. I'm wishing that when we talk, it's like Dr. Amanda, hey, Dr. Amanda. Dr. Amanda, don't. Yeah. No, so thank you very much. Thank you once again. Hopefully the kids are gonna get so much work, so they're gonna get inspired from this interview, and they will go out there and do what they need to do. Think on my side, I am cool. I've gotten everything I needed. I think you've said everything you need to say, so we need to end it here, because now we're gonna be an hour. This is the longest interview I've done. The longest.
Please edit it. I do speak a lot. Please edit as much as you can.
It's fine. Even if what I do, maybe I'll have part 1 and part 2, but the people have to hear it. And they're like, I can't be the one who decides to say anything that you said is not important enough, because I deem not important. Guy, you said it. There's a reason why you said the thing. So I believe there's a reason why you understood, you did what you need to do now. Saying I'm not going to do that. So if I think it's part 1, part 2, or rather, I'd rather have 2 episodes. Yeah, it's fine. There's a beautiful look, and we normally say here. Yeah, there's a beautiful look, and we normally say here to end our interviews with our great guests that we have, our interviewees. It goes Ratata Career Corner. Ratata, can you say it for us, ma?
Ratata Career Corner. Ratata.
Think sharp and focus your dreams. We're going to. We love you, and yes, cut.